Tim Vyasa Tato Jayamudirayeet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mataji, today Chaitanya Chaitanya.
Oh yes, I forgot. Yes, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 5, no?
Chapter 3, Mataji.
Oh, chapter 3.
Yes, Mataji.
Chapter 3, text. A minute. Text 79.
I think it's 61, Mataji. And I'm sorry I could not take the note last time, but as far as I remember, it is 61.
61.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Bhaktira Birodi Karma Dharma Va Adharma Tahara Kalmasha Nama Sei Mahatama. The greatest ignorance consists of activities, whether religious or irreligious, that are opposed to devotional service. They are to be known as sins, kalmasha. That is the ignorance. Even religious things, if it is done, which is not favorable, like, karma kanda, jnana kanda, all that, which is opposed to devotional service, that is, they are also to be known as sins, kalmash. Irreligious activities, of course, are sins, but even religious activities, for example, karma kand is definitely is kalmash. It is it's due to ignorance, because ignorance that I'm actually a atma and I'm a servant of Krishna, and so my joy and happiness and my self-interest lies in simply surrendering to Krishna within the heart and doing everything. But then when we are attached to the body and mind, so much disturbance, so many things, frustrations, and that leads us to committing sins, because when we want something and we don't get it, we are ready to do anything to get it, because the body and mind are like that. They just obsessively eat up our consciousness and says, you must get this, otherwise I cannot. I mean, see, we have to recognize what a tormentor the mind is. If we go onto the mental platform, terrible. Whatever the mind wants, if it doesn't get, it'll harass people till they get it. And for that sake, that is why people are driven to do sins also, and do stupid things, because their mind is hankering for it, tormenting them. It is like giving them so much, what do you call, pain. And so that is the reason. Bahutuli hari bhali prema drishtya chaya kariya kalmasha nasha premita basaya. Raising his arms, chanting the holy name, and looking upon all with deep love, he drives away all sins and floods everyone with love of God. That is about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varna. Okay. My dear brothers, please hear all these glories of Lord Chaitanya. This verse clearly summarizes his activities and characteristics. So continuation of this. S- uh, so imagine that one love of God which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to give us can just wash away all this ignorance and desire to drives away all sins and floods everyone with love of God. That is the only thing we should beg Chaitanya Mahaprabhu over and over again, because there won't be any torment from the mind once the heart is flooded. The heart and the mind is in the region, I mean, though it is covering the consciousness of this Atma, it is experienced in the head. Mind is always tormenting us with all kinds of so many thoughts. It's very difficult to still the mind. That is how much of a tormentor it is. I need this, I want that, you enjoy this, sense gratification, constantly like a non-stop torrent. That is how the mind is, behavior is. And opposite of that is the heart, where the soul feels so happy to just be a servant of Krishna, to be in touch with him. The soul is always wanting to, I mean, a flood of love, because just as the Lord is encompassing us with so much love, the soul also want to reciprocate with Krishna by offering completely anything for you, Krishna. I want to do this and that, and as much as you want, you can just go to the extent of, just like God is unlimited, devotee also is unlimited, because he can do whatever he wants for Krishna out of love. But leaving aside that wonderful experience, we are foolishly running after some sense gratification, which is not even real, which is short lived, and which is nothing but just a sensation. Just like, you know, suppose just for the sake of nice, comfortable bed, like Hiranyakashipu, you want nice Hiranya and Kashipu, soft bed. What is there? Whether you lie down in the soft bed or you're lying down on the ground. This is what Bhagavatam says. Anyway, the thing is that you have to go to sleep. When you're sleeping, you don't even realize what is that sensation, soft bed or this. You go to sleep, you're not aware of it. So it's a waste of time. And it's not good for health anyway. But the thing is that it is these sensations which are, just like physical sensations, it hardly matters. Just for a short while, you get some pleasure out of it, and then it's over. Similarly, the mind also it is a chief sense gratifier. Everything happens in the mind, and that is why mantra, we have to destroy, put a bomb and blast it out. Bomb of the holy name should blast the all the material desires which torment our mind and make us completely put us in ignorance, away from our real self-interest, which is to connect with Krishna. And that's it. The minute we connect with Krishna, no more problems. When that is available, why do we run around being a servant of Maya, servant of the mind, driving us crazily? You must get it, you must get it. And then it becomes a source of just to satisfy the mind. We're ready to do anything. And that's what in today's world, it's like that. People are ready to do anything to satisfy their mind. And just to put out that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving this flood of love of Godhead just by chanting Hare Krishna, dancing and serving him. Then it can flood over all those sinful desires which are in the mind. Smita loka shakam harati jagatam yasya parito giram tu parambha kushala patalim pallavayati pada padalambha kam va pranayati nahi prema vihvalam sadevas chaitanyaktir atitaram na kripayatu. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya bestow his causeless mercy upon us. His smiling glance at once drives away all the bereavements of the world, and his very words enliven the auspicious creepers of devotion by expanding their leaves. Taking shelter of his lotus feet invokes transcendental love of God at once. Imagine just worshipping Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can invoke that love, which normally even greatest, it's mentioned that even Brahma and Shiva don't get it so easily. Krishna Prem is such a valued thing that is only in Goloka Vrindavana. And that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving it easily if we simply meditate, taking shelter of his lotus feet. We just have to beg him, please. We have to convince him. I'm really serious. Please, Lord, you have to give me your mercy. And I want only your mercy of love for you. And I want to do only that happiness I want to experience, not this temporary, stupid, which is illusory. And it drives one crazy, and then it makes us do all sinful things, tell lies, cheat, be violent, or sense gratify in other ways. So many dastardly things the mind engages us in. So, or wasting time and or just gossiping, so many things, or sense gratification. So, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can destroy all that. Shri Anga Shri Mukha Yei Kare Darshana Tara Papa Kshaya Haya Paya Premadhana. Anyone who looks upon his beautiful body or beautiful face becomes freed from all sins and obtains the wealth of love of Godhead. It is wealth in so many ways. First of all, wealth because it gives so much happiness, which wealth, I mean, why do we want health for wealth? We want wealth so that we can be happy. And Krishna Prem gives unlimited happiness non-stop, so it's real wealth. And apart from that, because if we, in love of Godhead, we only want to serve Krishna. And for the service of Krishna, Krishna will provide everything immediately. It is only when we want for sense gratification, we have to struggle and plan and take so much austerities, difficulties, so many things. And okay, devotees also for preaching, they may go through obstacles, but that's because we are preaching in the material world. And only in the material world you need to preach. And the thing is, there are obstacles, but a devotee does not feel disturbed because he's taking shelter of Krishna and he knows everything will become okay. Krishna is doing, I'm doing his job, he will take care. Devotee is not worried. But if we start doing for ourselves anything, then we are ready with the, we have to struggle a lot. And at the end of it, no happiness. But if we look, so we can just seeing his beautiful body and face, one can become freed from all sins and obtains the wealth of love of Godhead. Anya avatare sabha sainya shastra sange Chaitanya Krishnera sainya angapa upa ange. In other incarnations, the Lord descended with armies and weapons. But in this incarnation, his soldiers are his plenary parts and associates. His soldiers are all these devotees and also his expansions. Sudopasya Shriman Dhrita Manuja Kayai Pranayitam Vahadbir Gir Vanair Girisha Parameshti Prabartibi Swabhaktebhya Shuddham Nija Bhajana Mudram Upadishan Sir Chaitanya Kim Me Punar Api Drishor Yasyati Padam. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always the most worshipable deity of the demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, who came in the garb of ordinary men, bearing love for him. He instructs his own pure devotional service to his own devotees. Will he again be the object of my vision? So everybody, including Shiva, Brahma, and all the devatas, they're all with so much love. They always kept coming in disguise and was taking his association. And his only instruction is what? To do pure devotional service. So that is there is no other avatar which has been only telling that, nothing else. Krishna also gave bhakti and, Bhagavad Gita, he spoke. But Bhagavad Gita involves so many stages of development, which also happens when we, as long as we are not fully purified, we have to pass through those stages. But it happens very fast because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The more that we can take shelter of him, the more that we can be convinced that everything else is just not worth it. And only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's shelter will make us happy. If we can be convinced of that, that is it. Very quickly we can cross over all this unnecessary suffering, which is a reaction to our sins. Reaction to, as long as we hold on to desires, thinking, hoping against hope, oh, I'm going to be happy, there is absolutely no happiness in this material world. We have to be convinced of that. And if you're convinced, yes, I'm just a rascal chasing after something, phantasmagoria. And if this happens, I'm going to be happy. And the mind is constantly putting us in such dream-like trances. Oh, if I get this is how I'm going to be. I'm going to be happy. If I get what I want, sense gratification, wonderful, I'll be so happy. That is all absolute nonsense. We can never be happy because as an enjoyer, it is false. The enjoyment we derive is only by having a loving relationship with Krishna. Then all happiness is there. Material, whatever, even material things. Guru Maharaj, wonderful quotation. It made me really think. What was sometimes Guru Maharaj says, very simple sentence, something, but very, very deep and very sublime. Like he was saying, what's the harm in eating? And you enjoy prasadam and all. What is the harm if you are in a service mood? That is the most difficult thing. If we can just be a servant of Krishna, you can enjoy. No problem. You can do anything because the main thing is you're not thinking you're the enjoyer. You are the one who's providing enjoyment to Krishna. And wherever Krishna puts and whatever he gives, the devotee enjoys. It's not that he renounces and says, no, 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 I'm not an enjoyer. I'm not an enjoyer. I'm not an enjoyer independently. But if Krishna gives it to me, I will enjoy. So he never wants anything for his own enjoyment, but for Krishna's enjoyment. He's only meditating on Krishna's enjoyment. And Krishna is meditating on how to make his devotees happy. So this is the perfect situation. Instead, what we are doing, we are trying to meditate on our own, how I can make myself happy without Krishna, enjoying myself. And that is where Krishna also provides that. But then afterwards, he has to tell, oh, you're just hallucinating. This is not even true. You're not going to be happy without me. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he doesn't even have to talk any philosophy. Just seeing him, then chanting whatever he said, chant, dance, and then we worship him. Then automatically the desire to all the dirty desires to dominate and control subside without too much effort. If we are just convinced, nice, especially when we get nice kicks from the material world, then it's a very beautiful situation where you can take complete shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and be convinced, oh Lord, there is no happiness at all in this material world. The only happiness is in serving you. That is the only intelligence we should have. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will completely take over. And then it's going to be a golden age. That is the golden age. The minute we realize This is dark world. It's no enjoyment, all nonsense. Whatever the mind comes up with, absolute nonsense. There is nothing like that. It's simply a myth. Whatever we are chasing, something, if I get this, oh, I'll be so happy. You're not going to be happy because we are not the enjoyers at all. And simply an illusion, we try to, hold on to something and then prolong our stay in this material world. But instead, if we want Krishna Prem, then we have to take a begging bowl in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. No, Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I don't have anything in my bowl. This material world is nonsense. I only have your mercy. Then he can fill it with lot of his mercy. But if you have lot, the bowl is already filled with all so many material things. How much mercy can he give us? अंगोपांग अस्त्र करे स्वकार्य साधना अंग शब्देरा अर्थ ara shuna diyamana. His plenary parts and associates perform the work of weapons as their own specific duties. Please hear from me from another meaning of the word anga. So the weapons, they also have their duties to help Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mission. Anga shabde amshaka he shastre paramana angera avayava upa anga vyakyayana. According to the evidence of the revealed scriptures, a bodily limb, anga, is also called a part, amsha, and a part of a limb is called partial part, upa anga. A limb and then part of the limb. नारायणस्त्वं नहि सर्वदेहिनां आत्मासि अधिशकिल लोकसाक्षी नारायणो अंगम नरभू जलायनात् तच्चापि satyam न tuvaiva maya. O Lord of Lords, you are the seer of all creation. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. Are you not therefore my father Narayana? Narayana refers to one whose abode is in the water born from Nara. So Garbhodakshayi's abode is in the water, right? And so Narayana refers one whose abode is in the water of 2-3 meanings for Narayana. One is this, and the other is one who's the shelter of everyone. And that Narayana is your plenary portion. All your plenary portions are transcendental, they are absolute and are not creations of Maya. This text was spoken to Lord Krishna by Brahma in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.14. जलसाई अंतर्यामी येई नारायण से हो तुम्हारा अंश तुम्ही मूला नारायण. The manifestation of the Narayana who predominates in everyone's heart, as well as the Narayana who lives in the waters, Karana, Garbha, and Kshira, is your plenary portion. You are therefore the original Narayana. So the original Narayana is in the Vaikuntha world, and Purusha avatars are all his amshas, plenary portion, amsha. Jalasai antaryami yeyi Narayana seho tumara amsha. They are the amshas. Anga shabde amshaka he seho satyahaya maya karya nahi sabha chidananda maya. The word anga indeed refers to plenary portions. Such manifestations should never be considered products of material nature, for they're all transcendental, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Purport: in the material world, if a fragment is taken from an original object, the original object is reduced by the removal of that fragment. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not at all affected by the actions of Maya. The Upanishad says, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and Because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced by the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Sri Ishopanishad invocation. So, just like in the spiritual world, we say 1 plus 1 is also equal to 1. Krishna expands himself like that. And there are, I mean, 1 plus 1 is equal to also 1 is because so many forms are there of Krishna, still he is the one. And 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1 because so many things come out from him, still he is one. So that is the spiritual mathematics. In the realm of the absolute, Prabhupada, in the realm of absolute, 1 plus 1 equals 1 and 1 minus 1 equals 1. Therefore, one should not conceive of a fragment of the Supreme Lord in the material sense. In the spiritual world, there is no influence of the material energy or material calculations of fragments. In the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that the living entities are his parts and parcels. There are innumerable living entities throughout the material and spiritual universes. But still, Lord Krishna is full in himself. To think that God has lost his personality because his many parts and parcels are distributed all over the universe is an illusion. That is material calculation. Such calculations are possible only under the influence of the material energy, Maya. In the spiritual world, the material energy is conspicuous only by its absence. There is no Maya there. Of course, she is in a spiritual form that Parvati is there with Shiva, Sadashiva, but she is not the external energy there. She is internal energy. So that is what, and this is the exact speculation of the impersonalists. They think that since God has expanded himself everywhere, then how can he be a person? He is just distributed now. So that is only under the influence of Maya, speculating with the mind. In the category of Vishnu Tattva, there is no loss of power from one expansion to the next, any more than there is a loss of illumination as one candle kindles another. That's the perfect example because fire, all the flames are the same. It's not that one flame has become less than the other and so on. Thousands may be kindled by an original candle, and all will have the same candle power. In this way, it is to be understood that although all Vishnu Tattvas from Krishna and Lord Chaitanya to Rama, Narsimha, Varaha, and so on appear with different features in different ages, all are equally invested with supreme potency. Demigods such as Brahma and Lord Shiva come in contact with the material energy, and their power and potency are therefore of different gradations. All the incarnations of Vishnu, however, are equal in potency, for the influence of Maya cannot even approach them. That's why Maya Devi cannot stand in front of Krishna. She's always behind him. Whereas Brahma and Shiva, for the sake of creation, they interact with Maya. Advaita Nityananda Chaitanyera Dhui Anga Angera Avyaya Ghana Kahiye Upanga. Sri Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu are both plenary portions of Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are the limbs, angas of his body. The parts of these two limbs are called upangas. So now, Sangopanga Parsh, Krishna, what Sangopanga Parshadam.
Ishravanam to Shravanam, Mataji.
Sango Pangastra Parshadam. So this Anga and Upa Anga. So Anga we saw is Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu. Who are the Upa Angas? Angopanga Tikshna Astra Prabhura Sahite Sei Saba Astra Haya Pashanda Dalite. Thus the Lord is equipped with sharp weapons in the forms of his parts and plenary portions. All these weapons are competent enough to crush the faithless atheists. The word Pashanda is very significant here. One who compares the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the demigods is known as Pashanda. Pashandas try to bring the Supreme Lord down to a mundane level. Sometimes they create their own imaginary God or accept an ordinary person as God and advertise him as equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're so foolish that they present someone as the next incarnation of Lord Chaitanya or Krishna, although his activities are all contradictory to those of genuine incarnation. And thus they fool the innocent public. One who is intelligent and who studies the characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with reference to the Vedic context cannot be bewildered by the Pashandis. Pashandas or atheists cannot understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord or transcendental loving service to the Lord. They think that devotional service is no better than ordinary fruitive activities, karma. As Bhagavad Gita 4.8 confirms, however, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees, saving the righteous and chastising the miscreants, paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkritam, always curb these nonsensical atheists. Miscreants always want to deny the Supreme Personality of Godhead and put stumbling blocks in the path of devotional service. The Lord sends his bona fide representatives and appears himself to curb this nonsense. So, parts and plenary portions, Anga and Upa Anga, all the others. Okay, here he has not mentioned that. He's talking more about the Pashandas or atheists who compare demigods to Krishna. That is also atheistic, bringing him to the mundane level. And also making cheap incarnations, projecting somebody as God, ordinary person as God. So these people cannot understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord or transcendental loving service to the Lord. And they think devotional service is no better than ordinary fruitive activities. So that is why they don't have any value for devotees. They used to ridicule Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates. Na? Every day they are just howling out, Krishna, Krishna. Yeah, actually, you know what? They're all doing this simply to fill their belly. This is their conclusion. So they think they want to deny the Supreme. They think that devotional service is no better than ordinary fruitive activities. They can't imagine that anybody can be without having this kind of, material attachment, everything for myself, selfishness. They are so used to selfishness that they can't believe that anybody can be selfless and all that. They'll always try to be cynical and give some material motivation for everything. The Lord sends his bona fide representatives and appears himself to curb this nonsense because these miscreants always want to deny the Supreme Personality of God and put stumbling blocks in the path of devotional service. Because they hate so much Krishna, they don't want to surrender, so they hate everybody connected with him. That is why sometimes devotees may wonder, I never did anything for these people. Why do they hate me so much? You are a devotee, that is enough. They hate you because they don't like Krishna and you are connected with him. Nityananda Goswami Sakshat Haladhara, Advaita Acharya Goswami Sakshat Ishvara. Sri Nityananda Goswami is directly Haladhara, Lord Balaram, and Advaita Acharya is the personality of Godhead himself. Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. Nowhere in the Chaitanya Charitamrita do they ever mention that Advaita Acharya has got both Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. I don't know why. But then that is the fact. In other places it's mentioned. Srivasadi Parishada Sainya Sangilana Dui Senapati Bhule Kirtana Kariya. These two captains with their soldiers, such as Srivas Thakura, travel everywhere chanting the holy name of the Lord. Powerful weapons. They are weapons of the Lord, and the weapons they carry are the holy names which cut through illusion and purify everyone. Pashanda Dhalana Vana Nityananda Raya Acharya Humkare Papa Pashandi Palaya. Lord Nityananda's very features indicate that he is the subduer of the unbelievers. All sins and unbelievers flee from the loud shouts of Advaita Acharya. So that is why we have to keep glorifying the Panchatattva, because they are the weapons of Lord Chaitanya and they can destroy, they subdue the unbelievers. And so that's when, and also our own, whatever um, non-belief or our own anarthas can be destroyed by the Panchatattva's mercy. And from the all sins and unbelievers flee from the loud shouts of Advaita Acharya. Sankirtana Pravartaka Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sankirtana Yagnetandri Bhajese Idanya. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya is the initiator of Sankirtana, congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. One who worships him through Sankirtana is fortunate indeed. So wonderful. Because Krishna can give, I mean, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can give us the ultimate perfection very easily. And that's why we're very fortunate. Simply congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Sita Sumeda Ara Kubudhi Samsara Sarva Yajna Haite Krishna Nama Yajna Sara. Such a person is truly intelligent, whereas others who have but a poor fund of knowledge must endure a cycle of repeated birth and death. Of all sacrificial performances, the chanting of the Lord's holy name is the most sublime. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the father and inaugurator of the Sankirtana movement, one who worships him by sacrificing his life, money, intelligence, and words. For the Sankirtana movement is recognized by the Lord and endowed with his blessings. All others may be said to be foolish, for of all sacrifices in which a man may apply his energy, a sacrifice made for the Sankirtana movement is the most glorious. So this is very, very sublime. So we need fine intelligence to understand, and that comes only by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So such a person is considered truly intelligent. Somebody may be, having great scholarships, I mean, maybe a scholar and may have got doctorate or whatever. That is all material intelligence. That is not, that's why it's saying such a person is truly intelligence. True intelligence, as the Shastras say, is the ability to discriminate between, yes, ability to discriminate between what is matter, what is spirit. That is real intelligence, spiritual intelligence. And so every such a person is truly intelligence, whereas others who have but a poor fund of knowledge, because real knowledge is this eternal knowledge, eternal truth. If you don't know that, and then you're just thinking I'm this body and just acquiring more and more facts about this body and this mind and this material world, then how can that be intelligent? And such people must endure a cycle of repeated birth and death. Of all sacrificial performances, the chanting of the Lord's holy name is the most sublime. So we should how much we should glorify the holy name so much in our hearts. All the time when we are chanting, it's easy to take shelter of the holy names and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and keep begging him, please, please accept me, accept everything as my sacrifice for you. Just chanting, just if you listen to holy name, that's the best sacrifice, because you're not indulging your mind. Not indulging the mind, because some people may think, what is this big sacrifice? We are not giving anything, we're simply sitting and chanting. And then how can that be a big sacrifice? That is what we don't understand. It's not a gross sacrifice. It's easy to think that, oh, I'm spending money buying lot of grains and putting in the fire, lot of ghee and putting in the fire and firewood, and Brahmana priests have come, I've engaged them, I've paid so much money to them, then I made lot of food, I purchased so many things, I cooked and I offered, and I'm you know this thing serving so many people. See, that means I've spent some money, I've taken some effort, I've called people, and everybody is doing something physically. So that is a yajna or a sacrifice. How can you say, just I'm sitting in the house and chanting? How will that become a sacrifice? How? So that is why people are confused. They think that this is not enough. Simply, I'm just singing and or chanting. How will that become a sacrifice? This is very, very, very sublime sacrifice, which even that sacrifice cannot fully do. And what is that? We sacrifice the sense gratification in the mind, which is the source of all sense gratifications. And that is why it is a yajna, because ultimately, whatever physically you may do, run around, spend money, and all that, ultimately, we have to offer everything to Krishna, worship him, and say, my Lord, I'm yours. That is the highest sacrifice. And that hardly, doing all these other yajnas doesn't purify so much. Whereas when you chant Hare Krishna mantra and you listen to it, and then you say no to the mind, never, I'm not going to listen to the mind. That is the greatest sacrifice, because you are putting an end to all sense gratification. That is why it is the greatest sacrifice and is most pleasing to Krishna. You don't even physically, you don't have to run around and all that. There's no need of all that. The real substance is in the mind, which you have to sacrifice. And then our whole life will be in the service of Krishna. Everything, Krishna, whatever I do is only your sacrifice. Everything I do without anything for myself, no pleasure for me, only pleasure for you. And that will give us the highest pleasure. And we may say, I don't want pleasure, but pleasure will be ours. And everything else, Krishna will take care of us completely. You don't have to worry. Now, my life is yours. Now you do whatever you want. And will the Supreme Lord not take care of his devotees so wonderfully? And we just need to be in bliss, just enjoying. It's like, say a tycoon is taking his family around in a cruise or something. They don't have to worry now, where to go, how much to spend, will money come, or how will I enjoy? I'm with the tycoon now. My father or my husband is a tycoon. I don't have to worry. He'll do everything. We just have to be with him. And that's it. So it's like that Krishna owns everything and he loves us. Okay, you do whatever you want. It'll be happiness only. भागवत संदर्भ ग्रंथेरा मंगलाचरणे ये श्लोके जीव गोसानी करिया चेना व्याख्याने. In the auspicious introduction of Bhagavata Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami has given the following verse as an explanation. Antah Krishnam Bahir Gauram. So one more this thing. Darshitang Gadi Vaibhavam Kalau Sankirtanadhyay Sma Krishna Chaitanyam Ashritaha. I take shelter of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's outwardly of a fair complexion but is inwardly Krishna himself. In this age of Kali, he displays his expansions, his angas and upangas, by performing congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Srila Jeev Goswami has placed the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, quoted in text 52, Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagne Sankirtana Praye Yajantihi Sumedasaha, as auspicious introduction to his Bhagavata Sandarbha or Shat Sandarbha. He has composed this text 81. Oh, beautiful verse. Which is in effect an explanation of the Bhagavatam verse as the second verse of the same work. The verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was enunciated by Karabhajana, one of the 9 great sages, and it's elaborately explained in Sarva Samvadini, Jeev Goswami's commentary on his own Shat Chandarbha. So, okay, he has composed this, which is in effect an explanation of that Bhagavatam verse. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam. Anta Krishna refers to one who's always thinking of Krishna. This attitude is a predominant feature of Srimati Radharani. Even though many devotees always think of Krishna, none can surpass the gopis, among whom Radharani is the leader in thinking of Krishna. Radharani's Krishna consciousness surpasses that of all other devotees. Lord Chaitanya accepted the position of Srimati Radharani to understand Krishna. Therefore, he was always thinking of Krishna in the same way as Radharani. By thinking of Lord Krishna, he always overlapped Krishna. So how this Radharani can always think of Krishna. How is it that she thinks the most, and then different devotees are also thinking of Krishna? But there is something like you can think more about Krishna. That means Krishna is so unlimited that it is just who is the greediest person. That is that is the one who is always thinking of Krishna more than the others. Because Krishna is giving so much pleasure. His serving his lotus feet is so fulfilling. Then Radharani is the greediest person because she wants to please Krishna the most. It is not even tapasya or austerity, it is greed. It is a spiritual sense gratification. I mean, which is very auspicious and which is very wonderful. So that is therefore, even though many devotees always think of Krishna, none can surpass the gopis. So thinking of Krishna for us in the material world is an austerity. I can't think of Krishna. I want to think of sense gratification. But when our sense gratification itself is in serving Krishna and pleasing him, then it's no longer an austerity. Then we become greedy. It's a spiritual sense gratification. All the time, I want to think of Krishna. I cannot, even if I want to stop thinking of Krishna, I can't because I'm so soaked. I mean, I'm greedy for him. Like that. He was always thinking of, and so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, he wanted to understand what is Radharani getting out of me? What is the happiness? What is it in me that enchants her so much? And what is the happiness she is getting by thinking of me? And what is her devotion to me? He wanted to experience all of this. And so that is why he was also thinking in the same way as Radharani. By thinking of Lord Krishna, he always overlapped Krishna. He was Krishna and devotee also. That's why. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is outwardly very fair with a complexion like molten gold, simultaneously manifested his eternal associates, opulences, expansions, and incarnations. He preached the process of chanting Hare Krishna, and those who are under his lotus feet are glorious because it may seem like what these devotees are doing simply singing bhajanas. What's the big deal? The big deal is that what it does to the soul, it the chanting of Hare Krishna makes us put a glue onto the lotus feet of Krishna. and we only want to serve him, serve him, serve him, ready to do anything for the Lord. Even in the material world, when Prabhupada was there, how many and they just said, Prabhupada, for you, I'll take everything. I'm ready to just serve your movement. And day and night, they did kirtanas on the road. That is how the movement grew because of Prabhupada's presence. They developed such great love for Krishna, ready to sacrifice everything, everything gone. I only want to serve you. That kind of love. Where will you get it? It's only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. We've never heard, or in any history book, or in any Shastra and Bhagavatam, nowhere do we see that like droves of people just run behind Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and and say, no, we only want to serve you. That is why even this Nawab Hussain Shah, when he saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come to his, Ramkeli, and which was Ramkeli was not the center. I mean, it was nearby, but the capital of whatever place that was, and capital of the king, Nawab Hussain Shah. And he noticed that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going, and then so many people following him. So he was struck. Why are they all following? They must be getting something out of it. He is not giving them any money. As a worldly person, his experience was, you can purchase people with money. You offer money, people will come behind you. But he is a fakir. He doesn't have any money. What is making them run after him? Then he concluded, this must be Kuda. That is why they're running. Somehow, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, he got that intelligence to realize that actually Nawab Hussain Shah was not so bad. Even when with Haridas Thakura, he didn't want to actually punish Haridas Thakura so much. Even when Haridas Thakura came, he was so inspired by him that he got up from his throne and he invited him and all. And then he asked the Qazi, and the Qazi was telling, no, you have to punish him, because why should he chant the other people's scriptures? When he is so fortunate to be born in the Islam Mohammedan family, why should he recite all Hindu things and all that? So then Nawab Hussain Shah looked at Haridas Thakura and he said, please, you follow now our scriptures, otherwise I'll have to force to do whatever the Qazi tells me. And the Qazi said, if he doesn't agree, then Haridas Thakura said, see, even if you cut my body into tiny, tiny pieces, each piece will chant only Hare Krishna mantra. I cannot do what you are asking. And then Nawab Hussain Shah was helpless. He asked the Qazi, now what shall we do? Then Qazi said, beat him up in all 22 places, finish him off, kill him. That is the punishment for someone who does not accept the words of Islam. So the Qazi was the fanatic. The Nawab Hussain Shah was not such a bad person. And so he also could understand this is not, ordinary person. He is God. And that is why he preached the process of chanting Hare Krishna, and those who are under his lotus feet are glorious. So that is why we should take complete shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the process and his Parshadas. They're all his weapons, Sangha and Upangas, and chant Hare Krishna. And we consider ourselves most fortunate to be part of this most sublime, beautiful mission, which can give us practically what is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. We can actually do it in a very simple and easy way. Just love Krishna, then everything in the Bhagavad Gita becomes a possibility. I mean, we can apply it because we love Krishna and we want to do whatever the Guru tells, we're ready to do. Otherwise, it's very difficult to follow all those instructions. Only because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, we are able to progress in Krishna consciousness. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? You're making garland for the deity, Keshavi.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji.
Any questions or comments?
Mataji, you are watching everything, Mataji.
Huh?
You are watching everything, Mataji.
You are
Watching everything.
working.